We got our first podcast of 2024. We're going to kick things off a little bit, talk a little bit about some training philosophies, as always, maybe debunking some things that are popular in the field right now. We're going to meme the water bags a tad. We're going to, just talk all things training, some life lessons, and just kind of just let it rip on the juiced up pod. But Narn, how we doing? What we got to start us off here?
Good. JUP to the moon.
JUP to the moon.
As we're speaking, we're anticipating, so by the time this gets released, it's supposed to turn to Antarctica in the Midwest, I guess. I think there's a snowstorm coming tonight, and then it's supposed to be like -4 degrees all next week. So it's going to be a little chilly. So everyone stay warm.
Perfect time to tune into the juiced up pod.
Yeah, you're just sitting inside by the heater trying to figure out how are you going to go get a workout in 10-degree weather. And yeah,
maybe J-Ban in the Wabanzi parking lot.
yeah, have we shared that video at all? Was that in any of your
I've not. I've been trying to make a reel on that, but I need some more footage. I posted it just straight up on TikTok, and I said I've been liking what the heck is this? Did my TikTok get logged out?
Oh, what a catastrophe. He's got to go back to Instagram.
I like the POVs. So I said, POV, coach told you must J-Ban for arm care, and so you find a way. Hashtag.
Oh yeah. Oh, hang on. Let's not talk about. We got to save that. We the tave the. Oh yeah. All right.
I like the audio.
Rise and shine, babe.
Yeah. No. Save that clip just so that we can post that. But I just looked at my camera roll one time. I don't know how we found that, but that was
TikTok's kind of blowing up a little bit, but 35 followers.
I think that was you told me to record it or something, so I put it on time lapse, and I have a time lapse of that encounter, and literally like every third throw is just a massive overthrow. So it's just
you gotta send me that. I don't think I have that.
Yeah, I'll have to look, but low key, I mean, I think in terms of like game weather and like practice weather, like it gets below 40 for baseball, it's miserable. But like just going out
even
like
below 50 kind of sucks. Like
yeah, even below 50, but like just going out and like taking batting practice like one day in the snow or like trying to like that is some of the most fun I've had playing baseball. Aside from when soft tossing lefty almost broke my thumb. Have I told that story on air yet?
No, go for it.
So we're playing wiffle ball. I think it's a 3-on-3. We're playing in the former parking lot or the former extra practice field, which is now a parking lot. And there's snow on the ground. It's probably like 20 degrees. And so we're playing wiffle ball. I got this like wiffle ball bat. The first swing, somebody has the bat just like snaps. So it was still functionable, but it's like cracked. But I was pitching, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. But we're playing for about 10 minutes later. And then we got soft tossing lefty comes up with a half cracked bat, takes like, and again, it's slippery conditions or he's having no regret. He's taking full swings, trying to hit the ball 350, completely lets the bat go out of his hands, right at me, bam, right into my thumb. My thumb's like swollen for like a week. I'm like worried. Did I just lose my senior season because soft tossing lefty can't hold on to the bat?
I bet if you water bagged and learned how to decelerate, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, that'll be a discussion for him because that might have been during the water bagging phase. But yeah, that was quite the story. That honestly might be one of the wilder stories. Like surprised we didn't get into that. But
I do remember that because then you texted.
You got any snow baseball stories?
I don't think I've trained in the snow other than that one time that we went to Wabanzi.
That's I mean, you did play in Tennessee, but I mean, you guys were playing.
I mean, actually, I take that back. Our opening weekend last year, it was funny because one of the dudes came off the bench to like pinch hit. We were up by like 15.
Yeah.
So it was going to be his first college AB, and it starts downpouring, snowing, and they had to call the game. And so he didn't get his college AB.
Yeah. I,
That was
I
tough.
like there's that one clip, I think it's Miguel Cabrera, but they're playing a game of like a blizzard and he hits like a blatantly foul ball that like
Oh
bounces
yeah,
off
yeah,
like the stands, but nobody can see it.
yeah.
Yeah, and it bounces in play.
Imagine if baseball was played in the snow. That'd be
Dude,
pretty
I'm
cool.
sorry, it does make me feel soft that I'll see like football and soccer, like they'll be playing in rain, sleet, or snow, and like we're all complaining because it's
It
45.
really does make no sense. It's like why can't you play? I mean, other than like if you played on a turf field, why couldn't you play in the snow?
Yeah, I mean, there's the aspect of you got people throwing 85 mile an hour
Yeah, but you
baseballs
got
at each other.
quarterbacks throwing a football.
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument for it, but I don't know. I mean, are you telling me that if you see 41 and downpour that you're thinking, all right, I want to go play baseball today?
No, I would not, but it is kind of interesting just how that has came.
It would definitely level some playing fields. I mean, if you watch some of these crappy bowl games, the what was the Miami, Ohio, and Appalachian State game where it was
Dude, I don't
the field was like they painted the field beforehand, and within like 3 minutes of gameplay, everything was just smeared. Guys had it all over their jersey, and like it's not football. Like every other thing is a fumble, so that would be
know.
baseball.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, so thankful no one shout out anyone. We got college baseball probably starting up in the South soon, right?
I think JUCO starts like January 20th is the first game.
January 20th. That's 10 days.
And I think NAIA is like January 26th-ish, somewhere
Okay.
around there.
Yeah, and then
I know
hopefully,
we opened up like the last weekend of January. That's when we started.
yeah, and then everybody up here tries to scramble to get a little bit of warmer weather to play a game in, or yeah. So
Yeah.
shout out to all the current athletes. Good luck with the season. We'll be trying to follow as much as we can.
We'll have to do like what was the Barstool thing where they did like the worst player or like the guy that like struck out like the most, they would highlight him like the worst
Oh
weeks.
yeah, yeah. Well, that would be a funny segment where we just like
We
go
should
look
do
at,
that with just like people we know.
yeah, go like random D3 box scores and just like talk about. That would be hilarious. That I think maybe save that. That's a good long-term podcast goal.
Yeah. All right, what do we got
Um,
today?
I got a question for you related to the weather too. What do you keep your thermostat at in your apartment?
Well, King Arthur regulates ours.
Okay, they do.
I would imagine. Oh, I think it's here we go.
Oh, convenience right there.
Like, I mean, this thing's like from the 1800s, so slightly below 70, like 67, 68, I would say.
Okay. At all times of the day and regardless of the weather, or is that dependent? Like when it gets cold, are you gonna keep it at 67 or are you
Well,
gonna
I can't change this thing.
Oh, you can't change it. So you have no
No.
choice.
Well, because we have an AC unit and they shut it off for the winter. So our room gets pretty hot, so we have a fan up in there, but
Oh, okay. So they don't wait. So how does your room get hot if they is there heating?
it's just I don't know, our room always gets really warm. Like it's fairly normal throughout the rest of the apartment, but
Okay.
our room gets pretty tough. It's pretty toasty.
Okay.
What do
Yeah,
you
I
keep
mean,
yours at?
I'd say 66, 67 maybe.
Yeah, I
I
mean, I
mean,
don't think this thing's ever getting above 70, that's for sure.
yeah. I mean, I asked too because I have a friend who was asking me just out of curiosity, and he said he keeps it at like 75 to 78. And good for you, man. I don't,
Yeah, I think I would literally be sweating through everything I own.
yeah, no. I mean, and I know there's also the science too. I think we were talking about this off air at one point, but like you're supposed to sleep in colder temperatures. Like if you keep it at 66 throughout the day, or other way around, if you keep it at like 68, lower it to 66 because your body temperature drops when you go to bed. And
Yeah,
when I was reading up on this, it said that you sleep a lot better in cold. So like you'll
I would
stay.
agree with that. I can never fall asleep if I'm hot.
Yeah, which so I just yeah, 75 is
Yeah, that's
just I can't
absurd.
imagine trying to sleep. It's even when it's cold too. That like even when it's like even if it's -2, I mean it's 62 degrees is still better than 4 degrees.
Right, right.
So, yeah, but I guess you guys don't have a whole lot of temperature control. I don't really know what mine goes to. It had just one of those buttons with the arrows. So
Do
I
you
probably
pay for that or no?
no.
Oh, that's nice.
Utilities none. Actually, well, electric I do, so I don't really know. I don't really know what that's included in.
Hmm. Yeah, I
But
don't know either.
I mean, I know that they upcharge for winter rates. I think that's how most.
Probably. I mean, but it evens out, so.
Yeah, and that was that. It's also nice that I have the own room or the own place now. Because back when the four-person dorm at Franciscan, there was always just a battle of who was setting it.
Yeah, yeah, I bet it got great, pretty greasy up in there.
That someone would go and push it down to like 62, and then it'd be back up to 71. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
But you know
interesting.
where it's gonna be if you want to go in 75-degree weather, you should go to any gym with Grant Lala. So what do we got on the slate for our training discussion today?
So we're going to talk about specialized equipment, thoughts on that.
What do you mean by specialized equipment?
So things like all the rave you see, so like bar speed sensors, speed gates, or like
Okay.
speed like laser timers,
Yeah.
jump mats, maybe like some specialized accessory equipment, whether that be like I
Just
don't
say
know,
it.
which one?
Just say it. The water bag.
Oh, the water bag, yeah.
Yeah.
Even like um
I mean, you could even throw like weighted baseballs in there. You could
yeah,
throw
yeah, you could throw
like
those in
all the
there.
drive line, the pipes, the
Just like anything that's I guess like new wave of
yeah.
training, I guess.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess we could start with that.
Yeah. Um, Hop right into it. I mean, you seem like you got a lot to say, so go off.
Well, I think when I first started training, going back to the EGT days,
Hmm.
like those things weren't even really around. Like you kind of just went on. I think like when you and I were growing up, we kind of just like got our training from, I don't know, like I looked on like bodybuilding.com or
Yeah.
maybe some like simply faster articles and blogs like that. And it's like
Yeah.
now I feel like kids and athletes are just like so used to like all of these specialized equipments like the water bags and the plyo baseballs. Like, dude, plyos were like I feel like they were just becoming a thing, like probably towards
Right.
sophomore to junior year of high school. Like, but now every kid is throwing plyos.
Yeah.
And then you got the bar speed sensors. You got kids that can't even like squat twice their body weight, and they're worried about how fast the bar
Mhm.
speed's moving. And then you got like the PBR showcases with the laser gate systems, worry about like how fast you're running a 60-yard dash. And I don't think there's anything wrong with those, but I think like training has become so flashy and it's almost just begs the question of why do we feel like we need all these things? Like I don't think athletes have necessarily evolved into something greater. Like if anything, we're still the same as we were before. I mean, I think my training could have been better, but I think having those, I don't think would have necessarily made me better.
Right.
And then you look at athletes like across the country that don't have access to those things, and the Major League
Yeah.
Baseball is probably more than half of them are from a different country.
Hmm.
So it's I don't know. I just think that sometimes we get way too carried away with like the metric side of things, or I just don't. The thing about the water bags, man, like I just don't understand them. Like I don't understand what they're supposed to do. Like I don't know how you can tell me that me putting something on my back and doing rapid trunk rotations as fast as I can is even really doing it. But
Yeah. So as someone I've played with some teammates that have used the water bags, that have used all that, and I've seen some benefits I've not seen. I'm trying to say, I'm saying everything to how I would say it to teammates to my face. Like, I'm not gonna come out here and like just start rambling forward against it. Because I think that the whole concept of it is the way the water adjusts in the bag is supposed to put your body in different positions
mhm,
so that you're not necessarily, it's trying to almost like encourage a variety where like if you're doing a rotation or something with a med ball, say the weight is always concentrated in the same way. So
I
you're
can see that.
whereas the water, it's going back and forth.
Well,
So
my question would be is like, I mean, water probably weighs like those things probably weigh like what 10 to 20 pounds. Like,
I
is the
no, they
stimulus
do.
even
I would
valid?
say it's comparable weight from what I've used to like a 15 to 20 pound medicine ball.
So then it's like, what is that really doing? Like you're rotating the 15 to 20 pounds on your back. Like, is that really even doing anything?
I I mean, you know my stance. It's that if you have results with it, then
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's really
obviously, if it works, it works.
the
But
theory. I will
see,
say that
my thing is like, it's almost like the idea that like, do kids need all of these? Like, if I'm training that's like a 10-year-old newbie athlete, right? I'm gonna
Mhm.
teach them how to do a squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, and a carry, like very basic movements. I'm not gonna strap up like a speed sensor on it. I'm not gonna
Right.
worry about what a 60-yard dash is. So it's like if I'm not doing that in the weight room, why does like the baseball specific side of things think that they need a water bag on their back when they can't
So
even
what
wash
I
it?
will say to that is the teammates I know that use this, they reached the water bags at a point of their career where it was almost like they need to try something else. Where it's like if something's not working, move to a different stimuli. Move, and I think that sort of approach is how you have to use it with anything. That if this is something new technology that you have access to,
Hmm.
and whatever you're doing before is not working, then maybe try something else. But then again, just because you're trying something that's new and branded and marketed and that you've seen in a clip of somebody successful doing it, that doesn't mean that it's not necessarily going to work for you.
Right, right. I mean, I've never personally tried the water bags. In my opinion, if I were to use them, I'd probably just use them like I would use like a med ball, like just maybe some pre-rotation stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I would go off and make a whole program off the thing. Like
Yeah.
maybe just some like I don't know something to just get the trunk rotating. I mean, I could see him being a dynamic warm up in a sense, but
Yeah.
it's just kind of it's just, I don't know. They just look funky too. It's like you got a water bag.
Yeah. I mean, I think, as we've alluded to a lot, that it's kind of a lot of training is preferential. And I think what you kind of hinted at earlier, but didn't really say it, is that just this generation of athletes, including us, is we're soft. So if
I feel
we,
like we were like the last.
well, the
Like
one,
after us,
I
people
will,
became kind of
well,
soft.
I'll distance myself from that. And I think you can agree. Is like once I started getting access to like the jump mats and like some of the different technology, I
Right.
almost viewed it as like I didn't have this growing up, so I appreciated it a lot more as
Whereas now
opposed
kids are just
to like,
like used to it.
yeah, that I think that for your generation, if you're saying like I need this to get better, or the more things that you need to go right in your training, you're just gonna make it harder because when you're out on the field competing or you're under the squat rack with a PR or something, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past or what you have done. It just matters what you're doing then and can you execute? Can you execute? Because well, all what you should be doing is it should be preparing you physically and mentally.
Hmm.
The more constraints you put on yourself that I need to do this, I need to do this. And that's why routines are important. But the more you get attached to routines, the harder it is when life gets chaotic and you're forced to deviate from those. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where I'd throw some of this specialized equipment. Like if you're saying that I can't do my sprint work without the laser sensor, then you're just being lazy and using it as an excuse.
Right. And I think the main thing I like about those is they're going to give you a legitimate feedback.
Yeah.
But like sometimes I haven't jumped just because I don't have access to anyone to
Mhm.
one anymore. Like I haven't jumped on a jump mat in forever. And what that's done is it's like forced me to be creative with my jump training.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you get so confined to just like doing a vertical jump on the jump mat. And then it's like, well, when do you ever just jump straight in the air? And then like for me, I would like just chase that number on the jump mat. Like I wanted to reach whatever, 36, 37 inches. And so then I'm constantly thinking about that the whole time. And then it's just like I'm becoming robust with my movements. I'm just moving like a robot, trying to like, oh, I got to make sure my hands go upright. And I got to make sure I'm driving through the floor to make sure that ground reaction force is getting. It's like then you're just overthinking things rather than just
Mhm.
like today I'm gonna do some kneeling jumps into like a broad jump, like something random, or I'm gonna do some forward roll. It's like you challenge athleticism a little bit more. Whereas like those specialized equipment, you get so caught in like the actual number and the equipment of it that you just forget to be an athlete and go move.
Yeah, like the one parallel, I remember at Obanzi, we got the blast system, I think my sophomore year, so after you dipped. But I remember that what I would put it on, I would
Slide
chase
that in there.
what?
Way to slide that in there.
Yeah. Juiced up pod. Um, Knocked me off my train of thought. Nice
You
job.
got the blast motion after I left sophomore year.
Yeah. And I remember when I would use that, it would just hurt, almost force me to like overthink a lot of times. So because what I would do is I know that like I wasn't take a swing, go check the metrics. So it's almost like I feel like the jump mats we're gonna say well like do your 10 jumps, do your whatever, and then after look and see what you got.
Yeah,
And kind of compare that to, oh, I felt like I was really springy today. Oh, I the metrics show I wasn't. And then
yeah.
you decide, well, does that matter? Like, because that's where I go with the blast met, because a lot of times I get so caught up in not having the proper launch angle or attacking or whatever that I
Right.
wouldn't actually be like taking batting practice. I would just be like being self-conscious about myself trying to change things with my swing.
Yeah,
So,
I'm indifferent about like hit tracks and
yeah,
that's a
because
good one
now
for you
it's
to bring up.
everybody's got a Rapsodo, everyone's got a hit tracks, and it's at the end of the day, like you alluded to it, the Venezuelans aren't going and just going to their nice cage with their hit tracks. Like
No,
they're
we're
just
like hitting
taking,
bottle caps.
yeah, they're just taking 500 swings in their whatever cage they can get, and I mean it's like at the end of the day, just if the equipment helps you grind, great for it or great for you. If it doesn't, then you probably need to reevaluate what your priorities are. And in the same way, what's your resiliency? And like that's a point of humility too, where I can definitely hand up and say that I'm not the most resilient, I'm not the most adaptable, that I've let things in the weight room be off get to
Mhm.
me. But you have to be able to recognize that and adjust from that, rather than just say, oh, well, I didn't get this because I didn't have the proper equipment, or we have bad equipment here, so I can't train the way I want to.
That's like where I feel like training for me became the most enjoyable is when you're like
Yeah.
got limited equipment because you just gotta like find a way and like you can get so much better that way.
Because I remember I have clips of like when the vertical jump, like I got used to the system of the mats, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
But I didn't have a jump mat going back to Franciscans. But I remember I'd put
just
like that.
videotaping boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like videotape myself jumping, so I look like I'm a social media influencer with my jumping, but I'm really just trying to like pause it at the moment where I'm at my peak and see, okay, where did I get up to?
yeah.
Or was I actually doing a good jump, or was I just kicking my legs up? So it's like that was almost like it was a better, it was more fruitful to track it that way
Hmm.
because you're kind of having to get creative.
So since we're on the topic of jumps, segue. We talked a little bit about this off air.
Mm-hmm.
I'll explain my thoughts. I haven't tested an athlete's vertical jump in since I've kind of gone my different direction, like 4 or 5 months now.
Yeah.
And something that even transitioned, which was really weird because we were doing a training wave where we were doing seated vertical jumps.
Okay.
I had like 4 or 5 guys that were getting higher seated vertical jumps than just standing vertical jumps.
Interesting.
And I think you could probably take that a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
you get a little bit momentum seated, but like the same thing is true when you're standing. You have the ground reaction force, so like you should be able to propel higher. And then it just got me thinking. It's like, well, I feel like the vertical jump, like the thing that's kind of funny is a lot of people will say jumping is like replacing Olympic lifting as far as like a power output. People are like, oh, like jumping's just as explosive as Olympic lifting. But
Okay.
the thing that's interesting is that, and then they'll argue that they don't Olympic lift because Olympic lifting is a skill and it's like a sport itself, which is it's true. Like if you actually learn how to Olympic lift, it's a very technical thing to do. I'm not saying the vertical, like that's kind of comparing apples to oranges. I'm not saying the vertical jump is Olympic lifting, but I think there is still a skill component of the vertical jump. And I think that coordination aspect, it kind of clicked with me when a lot of my guys were just like, I'm just telling them to do a jump and they're seated and
Yeah.
they're not even thinking about it. Like they're just jumping and then they're like popping 2 or 3 inch PRs. And then
Okay.
they go on a vertical jump mat and they're not doing it. Dude, and
Yeah.
it's like even when we would do like dumbbell jump waves, like
Hmm.
I was literally sometimes jumping more with an
With
extra
the
load in my
dumbbells.
hand
Yeah.
and with nothing. And it's just because you take that focus off of like the skill component of a vertical jump.
Yeah, and I think that applies to almost anything in the weight room too. That I remember the first time I got the jump read with the mat. I think I put up like an 18.6 or something like that. but that was just because I've never done a vertical
Right.
jump.
No, it's like, dude, it's
Well, it's
true.
like
Like the
you
first
can
time you
like
jump, it's like a
yeah
20. And then by
yeah.
the time you
So
figure
then
it out,
you
you're like
just
a
look. So
27.
there is a little bit of a skill aspect that it's looking okay. How do you generate power? How do you load into your hips? Load into use your ankles, stuff like that. Like how do you use all that? Like there is a skill to it in the same way that there is a skill to a deadlift, to a bench press, to
Right.
hitting golf balls. Like there's almost all athletic movements are in a sense a skill, which that's why the best athletes are when you throw them on a tennis court and they dominate. You
Right.
throw them in soccer, they dominate. You throw them in handball, they dominate. Like athleticism transfers across sport. That's why there's that whole wave of I don't know if it's the new age people or the old angry dads yelling at this, but the whole play multiple sports crowd
Yeah.
that when you're playing football versus basketball versus baseball versus hockey and soccer and tennis and all the different sports, you're if you're a really good baseball player, but you like are just lost on a basketball court, that does say something about you that you're probably not the most adaptable athlete.
Right.
And
Well,
I
and
don't
it's
think
interesting too, like, so when I've trained some basketball players and you get them on a jump mat, you would just assume they got good bounce.
yeah,
And I'm reading I got this in front of me. We got Force by Dan Cluther. It's a very just simple book on biomechanics. And it was talking about the differential of sport players when you get them on like just jumping, right? So like you look at a basketball player, a lot of their jumps are just quick, like they're going up to get a rebound or they're going to
yeah.
like, block a shot. It's
Go to
quick
dunk,
reactionary.
contest a shot, yeah. It's a lot.
So, but then you compare that to a volleyball player, like a spiker somehow, or someone like that, like they have a
Yeah,
little bit more leeway because they know when they're trying to spike. Like they can see the set coming. And
yeah,
so their jumps are going to be more slower or slower going down. Like they're going to get into more of like a full squat position and actually use their legs versus like a basketball player. They're just going to be more of like that springy athlete that just kind
yeah,
of can just like propel off the floor. And even when I was working with some of my basketball players, it's like their verticals, like they weren't anything great, but I knew that they had balance. Like all of them could dunk, and it was because like they're not used to like using their legs. So then it's like, what are we supposed to do? Teach them how to do a vertical jump, or just teach them how,
yeah.
you know? So that's kind of, I don't know. I think the vertical jump like it has a lot of good components, like you touched upon, just like power outputs and like being able to assess athletes' weaknesses, but I don't think like it's something to live and die off of. Maybe like
Yeah,
athlete comes in day one, test it along with your other movement screens or whatever you do. Or if you're just an athlete training by yourself, I think it's a good thing to know, just like anything else. But I don't think it's something that I would test monthly or I don't know, like I mean like every
I think
other month.
there's a lot of different ways you could treat it, and it's like I said before, in a sense that, sorry, excuse me. Chances are, whatever you do worst as an athlete or as a mover is probably the easiest to address, and
Right.
that you make a little bit of improvement, it's going to make a huge difference. So, and like I felt like when I just started training vertical jump, it did translate and make me faster.
Right. Because it's
Now,
probably something you've never
once
done
I'm
before.
getting 30-inch verticals, once I'm sort of maxed out at the speed and all that, it's like, well, it just gets harder to gain that then. So it's almost like,
Yeah,
what
and
is
it's like the
one?
exit velo debate. It's like is two
Yeah,
ticks on your exit velo really going to do anything, or is like 2 inches on your vertical jump really good? Like if you can already jump 36 inches, what's jumping 38? You know what I mean?
right.
I mean,
Diminishing
like,
returns.
obviously there's like the velo debate on the now. Like I think a 93 to a 96 is a big jump, right? But like
I think, yeah,
a 90 to a 92, it's like that's not really doing anything.
yeah. And a lot of it's relative too, and depends on the athlete and the level of competition. Where I mean, we see it in college to pro that pro is a lot faster game speed than the college at every game level. So does
Right.
that mean it means that maybe the average vertical jump between college and pro goes from like a 29 to like a 31? But that doesn't mean that jumping 2 inches higher necessarily makes them faster. It just speaks to the overall level of athleticism.
Yeah. And I think just getting like taking that time off from the jump mat
Yeah.
just going and doing different jumps is only going to make you a better athlete. Or
Mhm.
taking time off from your speed sensor training, like, and just having the intent to move weight fast, or like not getting caught in training metrics that are, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think it's only going to make you better. I don't
Well,
think
at the end of the day, too, if
mental,
you
but
use it as a testing method, then you can actually track your progress without the technology, without all the
right,
training. So that's where if you're doing your vertical jump training for 3 months or 3 weeks or whatever without the mat, and you come back and you're jumping 4 inches higher, well, then you were probably doing something right during those 3 months.
right,
You didn't necessarily need that everyday feedback of what am I jumping at this? What am I jumping at this? So I think it definitely makes it a lot easier to like kind of, or it's definitely a lot harder to be creative. You sort of depend on all this equipment.
yeah. That's kind of the main thing right there. So,
Yeah.
all right, man. Well, stay safe out there this weekend.
Yeah. Everyone stay cold, or don't stay cold, stay warm.
Don't
Uh,
set your thermostat to 77.
yeah. Don't set your something's going to go out and you're going to go from 77 to 43 pretty quickly. So,
But
uh,
uh, but yeah, appreciate you all for tuning in.
yeah.
Easy.
See you next time. Stay juicy.